Are you looking for a way that you can use Microsoft Teams to better help your users communicate, or maybe yourselves as admins to communicate out to the business widely and let them know about things that are going on, maybe changes, new applications, or maybe your leadership needs to send out a message to everybody about what's going on? In this video, we're going to look at how you can do that in Microsoft Teams with an org-wide team. My name is Richard from Arcible, and as we said in this video, we're going to dig into what is an org-wide team, how you can set one up, and some of the different features and options that you can use to control how org-wide teams work. So before we head over to the PC and dig into that, what is an org-wide team? So in Microsoft Teams, we have public channels and teams, which are those that anybody inside the company can join. We've also got private channels and teams, which are those that are restricted in membership so that only certain people have got membership. An org-wide team is a type of team that's available in Microsoft Teams. And what's great about an org-wide team is that it automatically includes all of the users in your organization. So what we can do with org-wide teams is we can use them as a way for business leadership to be able to communicate out to the users in the company about what's happening, changes, and we can also use them really effectively as IT to be able to communicate out to the business, perhaps about service outages, maintenance windows, or other new applications and services that we maybe want to bring online. Now, there are some limitations with org-wide teams that you do just want to be aware of before you start looking at them. So limitation number one is that at the moment you can create a maximum of 5 org-wide teams per Microsoft Teams tenant. So if you want to be able to create multiple org-wide teams, that's fine, but the limit is 5. And so limitation number 2 that we've got today is that org-wide teams can only contain up to 5,000 members. So if you're a large organization with more than 5,000 employees, then using org-wide teams today isn't perhaps going to work well for you. However, if you've got less than 5,000 employees, then org-wide teams are absolutely perfect, and they're going to save you the admin overhead of having to manually add and remove users from Teams to be able to do your company-wide communication. So now we're going to head on over to the PC and we'll take a look at creating an org-wide team and how you can configure one. Okay, so we've got Microsoft Teams open, and we're going to start out by assuming that you don't have any org-wide teams created already. And so the way that we create an org-wide team is exactly the same as any other team. We press the join or create a team link down in the bottom left-hand corner here. When we get to this initial screen, we can hit the create team button, and that's going to allow us to open up the wizard that's going to walk us through creating this new team. On this page, we're going to want to choose the option build a team from scratch. And then on this page, we get to select the type of team that it is. Now, this may vary from tenant to tenant, but in our Microsoft 365 tenant, we've configured the Microsoft Information Protection Sensitivity labeling, which is why we get this option at the top here. You may not see that. The option that we're interested in for this video is obviously the org-wide team. And to create an org-wide team, we simply click on the org-wide option at the bottom. So on this next page, the name of the team will automatically be populated based on the name of your tenant. So our Microsoft 365 tenant is called Arcible Limited. So that's been automatically populated, but we can obviously change this if we want to. You can enter a short description, and then when you're done, just hit the create button. So we're going to skip hitting the create button just for now because we do already have an org-wide team called Arcible Limited created. So we're going to jump over to that now and show you what that looks like. Okay, so we're now inside our Arcible Limited team. We can see that we've got the general channel selected on our Arcible Limited team just here. And as usual with any other team, we can see the messages and notifications within this channel appearing here in the main portion of the screen. Now, one thing that is worth noting is if you look in this current view, you'll see that there's various messages being posted about users joining and leaving the team. That's actually an existing behavior for org-wide teams, where whenever a new user joined the organization or whenever an account was removed, that would automatically be notified into the general channel, as you can see now. However, that is actually changing shortly, and there is a change on the roadmap for Microsoft Teams where these notifications will stop appearing automatically. And this is based on user feedback, just to say that people didn't really see the benefit of having those notifications there. So with any other team, by default, you're going to automatically get a general channel, and you're automatically going to get 2 apps that have been pre-configured on that channel. One which will be the posts app for your messages, and the other will be the files app for storing files in the Office 365 group on SharePoint Online that's associated with this. But as you can see in our org-wide team, we've got some additional apps that we've linked and created across the top here. And we've also got some additional channels that we've created down the left. So once you've created your org-wide team, you're probably going to want to head into the settings to take a look at how that's configured and maybe control some of the settings just around some best practice and ensuring that it doesn't get used for the wrong purposes. So we can do that by clicking the ... icon next to the next to the team name, and then we can hit Manage Team. Okay, so we're on the team settings page, and right now we're looking at the channels options. So from here you can see what channels exist within the team, and you've got the button up here to be able to add additional channels. Now, one of the useful things to note on this page is if you choose to create additional channels in your org-wide team, you may want to take advantage of this checkbox in the column here, Show for Members. And what that's going to do is it's going to ensure that when users in the organization are looking at your org-wide channel, they're always going to see that channel listed in the view. So we've got 3 channels here: General, Marketing and Policies. And we want to make sure that everybody in the company can always see these. So we've got them checked so that they will always appear here, as opposed to being moved into the hidden channels section where Microsoft Teams tries to compress the view. We can click on the settings option just here, and then that's going to take us into the settings for this team. Obviously, the first thing you maybe want to do is add a picture to the team, maybe your company's logo, so that everybody can kind of identify with it immediately. Then moving down through the list, we've got member permissions. So bearing in mind that this is an org-wide team, we probably want to be a little bit more restrictive with who can do what within this team versus a normal team for maybe like a project or some other type of function within the company. So what we've chosen to do at Arcible is we've chosen to say that members, so that's normal users within the business, cannot create and update channels. They can't add and remove apps, and they can't add and remove tabs to this, because we want this to be controlled so that certain features are there for everybody in the company. And if we make changes to this, then we want to control the rollout of that. Another area that you may want to look at setting some of the options is under the app mentions option. So an app mention within Microsoft Teams is where you can mention someone's name or the name of a team, of another team, or of a channel. And what will happen is when you do that, it will send a notification to all of the people that you've mentioned to let them know that you mentioned them in a message. Now, what can be dangerous about having this enabled on an org-wide team is that if you're up towards the limit of maybe around 5,000 users, do you necessarily want somebody to be able to mention the channel name and then that trigger a notification to, circa 5,000 people? So we choose to have this turned off so that members of the team can't use mentions. Now, the thing to note is also it does say members, so the channel owners can still use mentions if they want to. Then the other thing that you maybe want to look at is under the fun stuff heading, and whether you want to allow people to use Giphies, memes within this general channel. We've chosen to leave these enabled so that people that are owners of the channels can kind of use their discretion and use Giphies and memes to kind of liven up and make messages a little bit more interesting. But if you're in a sort of slightly stricter or more controlled environment, you maybe want to turn these off. So once you've been using Microsoft Teams and your org-wide team for a while, you may decide that you want to extend the functionality of this to maybe add some extra apps or some extra features to it. And the way we can access this is from the apps option at the top. And you can see that our org-wide team, we've kind of built on this, and we've used the Microsoft Flow connector and the Power BI connector to incorporate some additional functionality within Microsoft 365 here. And this just allows our users to access some of the most important things that they need for their jobs without actually having to leave Microsoft Teams. So perhaps you've got some kind of organizational wide dashboards that you want people to be able to see that are within Power BI, or maybe as we are using Microsoft Forms to conduct some kind of employee survey and you want people to be able to look at the results, then you can build all of that into your team. Again, once you've been using your team for a while, you might want to see how people are engaging with it and how people are using it. And we can access this information from the Analytics tab. And so the Analytics tab is going to allow you to look at the number of users, number of apps, size of the files that are being stored within the Office 365 group in SharePoint Online. And then you can also look at engagement, so number of posts that have been created, number of replies, how many people have reacted to those messages. And then you can also look at some of the charts for active usage, meetings and engagement as well. So this is obviously useful if you are creating an org-wide team and you're using it as a way to communicate with users. You can actually see how many people are looking at those messages and whether this is actually turning out to be an effective method of communication. Okay, so we hope you found this introduction to org-wide teams really useful, and hopefully you now know what you need to do to get started and set up your first org-wide team and get that configured so that it meets your requirements in your business. If you've liked this, then please feel free to give the video a like. If you've got any comments about either this video or maybe another video that you'd like to see us do in the future, then drop that in the comments down below. And if you'd like to see more of these videos and information and advice for setting up Microsoft Teams, then please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to receive notifications of when we post new videos. Thanks for watching and have a good day. Bye bye.